Hey everyone, welcome to Zealots. I'm Forrest.
I'm Major.
I'm Robbie.
Matt.
And Chip.
Today we're going to talk about the Loki finale. This was called For All Time Always, and I think the big reveal, which we were all hoping, and I think it paid off, was we got to see the MCU debut of Kang, who was played by Jonathan Majors.
Lies.
It was a Mortis.
It was not a Mortis.
Well, it was like I think the director said like it's an amalgamation. There is a character called He Who Remains who's not a Mortis.
Yeah.
In the comics,
they meshed the two together.
But yeah, I think for all intents and purposes, it was a Mortis. So
yeah,
A Mortis is a king, but not all kings are a Mortis.
Yeah, it's kind of like how could I describe this? Yeah, like a Mortis is his final form, and Kang's like his third form, I think. Whatever. But but I think it was smart that they didn't call him a Mortis, because I think like when he shows up again, and like later down the road, and they call him like a Mortis in this show, but they call him Kang in another thing, people are gonna be confused. Like the general audience won't know. But I think He Who Remains was pretty like He Who Shall Not Be Named. Like for Voldemort, it's like just an alternate like title for him. So I mean, I don't think this was my favorite episode of the series, but I was glad that it wasn't another Loki variant behind everything. I think I would have been disappointed, and I think I also would have been disappointed if like Ravonna, like a future version of her, was behind everything. Although that would have made sense, but I think a lot of people online, like I think a few reporters or journalists were just like, for non-comic book fans, it was kind of like weird seeing this random guy pop up. But
how good was the acting though?
It definitely had like a Wizard of Oz / Willy Wonka sort of energy to him. I think that's what they were going for.
I don't know. If I had to like imagine being alone for millions of years, I think I would act a little bit crazy too. And I like how flamboyant and I think flippish, how flippant he is.
People.
He was having sex with Miss Minutes, virtual sex.
Although it looks like, do you guys think that was the first time it's happened?
Multiversal War?
Yeah, like I mean, it's just like a.
Are we in the first loop? Is what you're
that he's tried it multiple times.
Well, I know we're not in the first loop yet because we had the Multiversal War already.
No, I don't.
Time travel.
I think he comments about how he keeps coming back again. So
Right.
I don't.
I'll see you soon. And I was like, that's a good point. You kill him, and like history's just going to play out. So who originally did Immortus, Kang, whatever you want to call him? Did he have a different name before? His mania.
His first name is Nathaniel Richards. He's a descendant of Reed Richards. He's like from the 31st century. He went back in time to ancient Egypt and was Rama Tut first. Then I think he went back to present day. And he met like Doctor Doom and became.
Was he Ramatut the king?
Well, I think it's like a fictional pharaoh, but he showed up in Fantastic Four first as that villain, and then he was reintroduced in the Avengers as Kang.
Ramatut actually sets up Apocalypse as well.
Yep. So hopefully we'll get like an actual CGI version, not Ivanu's version.
Oh, good. I'll go watch X-Men: Days of Future Kill Me.
That was actually a good one, though. You don't want to watch Apocalypse is the one you want to avoid.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't
I
even seen Dark Phoenix.
You haven't seen Dark Phoenix?
It is bad. It is.
You gotta watch it just to know how bad it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like they should have ended the X-Men series with Logan. That would have been like a perfect send-off. But like no,
Seriously.
we have to.
Is this deja vu or do we all? I think we
talk about this every week.
Okay.
We're in our own time loop.
Matt's and I'm not getting ahead of Loki, but we will be talking about Winter Soldier Part 2 today.
Oh yeah,
Black Widow,
the Born Widow.
Forrest forgot to mention in the top of the episode, but Matt sent out a text at the beginning saying, or like text last night or 2 nights ago about the conspiracy theory that this podcast is just a giant troll to make him watch all these bad movies.
Well, it hasn't got me to watch Dark Phoenix yet, so
I was going to say, Matt, do you want to flip the tables and make next week's episode about Dark Phoenix since there's really nothing else on?
Or New Mutants.
We can do that. Force to watch that. New Mutants. Yeah.
If there's the riff tracks for it, I guess I would know. If there's riff tracks for it, maybe I can.
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a riff text. You can just watch it when Matt and I watch it and follow along.
I know we should do a Twitch making fun of it.
Yeah.
We can do a Twitch. We can live stream on our
sponsored
Twitter
by
account.
Roots Research. I guess they're an official sponsor of their official sponsor of the podcast now, right?
Is it official if we don't pay or mention them at all? If they don't pay us and we don't mention them?
We could advertise Roots Research on the podcast. Although your business partners might not want us associated with this podcast, but
I mean, we do have our own
Yeah.
podcast.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't.
Report. I'd say it's much better production quality than what we throw in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
You'll
it's
have
our prep time. When we get let's say we're gonna meet at 1:00.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go over the outline and talk about what we're gonna talk about and warm up for 45 minutes to an hour, which is how long this podcast is.
Yeah, we have.
And then we actually have an editor, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, my editing
I enjoy
consists of just cutting off,
Clipping out
fat.
Oh man.
The fat. Yeah.
But
Well, this
anyways,
is-
to get back to the acting ability too of He Who Remains, I think it's quite interesting because that actor now, and is it Ant-Man that he's going to appear again as Kang?
Yeah, and 3.
He's going to have to completely change his character and play some
It's gonna be so
evil.
good.
It'll be interesting to see, compare and contrast, the acting from Loki to when he next pops up.
His acting was so good. I wanted to go back and watch his filmography. I want to go back and watch other stuff that he's done to see him in more stuff.
Yeah,
I was just really impressed with John.
I saw Lovecraft Country, the start. The second episode was really weird. I don't think I finished it.
Oh, is he in that?
Yeah, he was the star of that. But he's only 31, so he's not our age. I think this is definitely just a good intro for that character, and I guess they also introduced the concept, the Council of Kangs, all the different variants of Kang. So it's a pretty complex character to wrap your head around, but he is sort of the last major Avengers villain they haven't showcased yet. So it makes sense that they couldn't use him because they couldn't use him because he was owned by Fox, because he was he was introduced in the Fantastic Four, so Marvel couldn't use him, which is strange because they could use Black Panther, who was also introduced in Fantastic Four, and they could use Inhumans, who were also introduced in Fantastic Four, and they could use Kree.
You're talking about the comics, not the movies.
Well, he wasn't introduced in the movies. He was introduced in the comics, but I it was
That's what I was
sort of
asking,
weird.
yeah.
I was kind of strange that he was, maybe because his last name was Richards, that Fox thought they had him, but it was kind of strange that they could use Black Panther and Inhumans and not use.
Well, I don't think it's got as much to do with the comics as it does the rights. Fox had to buy
They had the
characters
rights
from them. Now, you can make some legal arguments. I remember reading up about that. You can make some legal arguments because you buy the Fantastic Four. This is a Fantastic Four supervillain, and therefore it's ours.
I guess, yeah. So I don't know.
Whatever. This is the one time monopolies work in the favor of people.
Yeah. So they was
Although, is it a monopoly if you're just buying back your own content?
Well, they still don't have the rights to Hulk. They can't make a Hulk movie. That's why they're doing She-Hulk. Because I think Universal still has the rights to distribute the movie. It's really weird. I think they might have the rights to Namor too.
Well, good. I don't want to see a Namor. I'm fine with Mr. Nimbus. That's all the Aquaman I need for this year.
I will say this: Loki, this show actually got me to care about Loki as a character, and I'm interested in him now, which is amazing because I never really gave two craps about him.
Really?
However, I don't think a Namor show or movie could get me to care about Namor. I think, I keep talking about dredging the bottom of the barrel.
Well,
Just now,
Hawkeye coming soon.
dude.
I think
so
there's the rumor. Oh, go ahead.
it's like another 12 shows over the next 3 years that they're going to be releasing on Netflix and Disney Plus. They have Armor Wars, She-Hulk, Hawkeye, Wakanda,
All
which
the
is
B
unnamed
characters.
yet. And it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
Iron Man used to be a B character. Everyone thought he was like a suit of iron.
he was, yeah, but the Avengers, like he was like one of the first tier Avengers, But like I think and he always had his own comic book series as the Thor and Captain America. But I don't think like Ant-Man and Wasp had their own series. They probably should show it in the Avengers. But I think the rumor, go back to Namor, the rumor is that he's going to show up in Wakanda forever, and it's going to be like a war between Atlantis and Wakanda. So I mean, I guess that'd be an interesting way to introduce his character. Although it's gonna be like black people versus blue people. It's like, do we really want to see a race war on screen? So,
not in my movies, not my Marvel movies.
Yeah,
I would be interested in seeing something like that in a Flashpoint perspective, but not from Marvel.
That's basically what Flashpoint was: Atlantis versus the Mascara.
Yeah, but why? He just saved his mom. How did that affect everything in such a way? I like the twist.
It's like a butterfly. It's like the butterfly effect. You kill a butterfly, and down the road,
the butterfly effect is a butterfly flaps its wings in Africa and creates a tornado in the States, or point A to point B.
Well, if you kill a butterfly in the past, it's going to have an effect. That's the point. It's like any small change is going to alter the future. So I don't know if it's officially called the butterfly effect.
The Simpsons episode where he goes back into the past and actually accidentally steps on a butterfly, and then there's dinosaurs in the future.
Well, no, it's like Flanders is rules the future.
Yeah, but he keeps going back and he starts hitting things with bats. So
yeah, he's like, I'm not going to hit anything. I'm not going to hit a single thing, and he just starts smashing everything. He gets there frustrated.
The Simpsons. I watched the Loki short. Waste of time.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's like The Simpsons is sort of like SNL now. You just have whoever's popular at the time is like guest voice on there.
I don't know. I thought this last season of SNL was really good, especially for the circumstances.
Oh yeah, they have to wear masks during the whole skits. That'd be funny.
Well, not during the skits. I don't think, but the first couple episodes were on a webcam or were remote. I don't know. I just thought the season was pretty good. It made me laugh, which is what I needed last year.
Okay. So about Loki, yes. I think the big problem, I think the one issue or flaw I had with this episode is I guess the series in total was Loki basically became a sidekick in his own show. He was basically playing second fiddle to Sylvie, I felt, because she was the one with
Sylvie is Loki.
Yeah, but not the Tom Hiddleston Loki. And it's just sort of he was sort of her supporting character. I felt like she had the motivation, the main goal. His goal was I'm gonna take over the TVA, and then just became I'm just gonna follow her. So, but how'd you feel about the kiss?
So I didn't see it coming because I'm an idiot and I trust directors. If they say they're not going to kiss, then I would expect them not to kiss. I'm glad she lied. If she said, she was, in an interview, or a reporter asked her about the romance or whatever, and if she was oh, I can't talk about it, then I definitely, everyone would know it's coming. I would place this unexpected kiss above Rise of Skywalker, but I'm really just trying to trigger Matt right now.
I'm surprised the Phantom of the Opera music didn't play. When the Phantom kissed Christine. It
was almost like she just wanted to get behind him using the kiss.
Yeah, exactly. To position herself better.
Yeah, because she was doing the kind of walk around him while she's kissing him.
My wife did not like the kiss whatsoever and thought I don't know, the twin cess was like
kind
kind
of
of weird.
yeah, it's kind of like a brother sister kissing almost.
But it's not. It's a Loki and a Loki, right? They're either the same person or they're two different people, and they're not a problem.
Loki.
But like, I think this is a true understanding of the character. Matt was talking about how we got to learn more and know and appreciate Loki better. Like, who else would Loki fall in love with but himself? And now there's a smoking hot blonde version of you. Like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm good with it.
How long did it take him? Like a couple days.
Well,
I think he was in there longer than that, but
also,
they're outside of time. Who knows how long they were there?
But also, the kiss was a move to manipulate the other person and ultimately betray him, which is exactly what Loki does: manipulate and betray. So,
right on. I don't think it's. I think it's right on brand for the character. I have no problem with it.
So, just the question is which reality did he get sent back to, though?
That is the question. Because like they don't recognize him, they think he's an analyst, and
B-15's still there. Yeah.
The statues are different. Yeah, I did think it was weird that
how to
B-15
use
still
those?
had the same number.
So.
Yeah. Tip, what did you think? You still with us, Tip?
Hello. Oh. Yes. Loki. Sorry, I just spilled a big glass of water all over the ground. I was cleaning up. It was. I'm not surprised that the Lokis were using their romantic interest to manipulate the other, because the patterns of brain behavior. If this Loki's been doing the same shit for thousands of years, which is like being a manipulative prick, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, that's just ingrained behavior. You can say, "Oh, I've changed all this stuff," but it would take a cataclysmic event, like
what happened?
Behavior. And all, yeah. Well, Robbie.
Cataclysmic event.
Oh, so maybe Loki's behavior for the rest of this Marvel universe, maybe he'll see the error of his ways and try better. Especially that last little betrayal right there with the kiss and the kick there.
Yeah, like this version of the Loki becomes the good Loki.
I like the fact that there is like this inevitability of in the 31st century, this super genius discovers how to traverse between the universes. So
and work together with the universes.
Yeah, and it brings up an ethical question here. Like, so this character, this fellow, this conqueror, he who remains, is he actually bad, or is he like kind of a neutral force trying to just keep everything in check so that other more evil versions of himself that he could possibly come into existence?
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it.
Sort of like
he was even saying, like, you think I'm bad, like you should see the other versions of me, or like, basically saying I'm the good guy of the group.
Yeah,
in a
I'm
way.
the nice one.
Who's just trying to keep things in check.
To Sylvia's whole argument about free will, is it okay to steal free will from beings if we keep them safe?
Yeah, it was an interesting dilemma.
Right?
Yeah.
Or if we're already on a time loop, and then is it just determinism? Is free will an illusion anyway? And so we just have like a single being in charge of it all, right? Because if it wasn't him, it'd be someone else.
Just pulls out pages of everything that we're going to say.
Right. Well, that was weird though, that there was a point where he no longer knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think
he was
that doesn't make sense. Was that a lie?
Well, he said he fibbed. So I mean,
yeah, like he already said that. No, he just said he said he was like, I fibbed. I don't know everything. Like, was he lying about lying?
Well, I think he did know to that point. He was I think the writers just wrote themselves in a corner. It's like, we have to kill this guy somehow, or like weaken him so he can be taken out.
Yeah, but
So
the
we'll just
writers
have
from Rick and Morty, like they've had years of experience of not writing themselves in a corner, or at least writing themselves out of a corner. Right?
Well, it's just this one dude who's working for Rick and Morty, but I don't think he's going to come back for season 2. He like sent out a cryptic tweet today saying like showed the picture from the episode where it says end of file. So everyone think he's leaving the show anyway. So
good. All right, Cirque's cycling a new director. Let's get more talent in the pool.
Yeah. So what did y'all think Ravonna went at the end of the last episode?
No idea.
I think she went to go find.
Yeah.
I think she went to go find Kang.
Yeah, possibility. I mean, we all know that she's like his bride or consort in the comics, so I guess they're going to team up, and she'll probably show up in maybe Ant-Man 3, possibly. I think it's coming out next year, and they're doing No Way Home later this year, which I think is going to deal with the multiverse too. So, he might even, those two characters might show up in that movie. Although Sony's probably just like, we don't want your MCU. We don't want
Whatever.
Sitting.
They're trying to do a live action Spider-Verse, right? So I would think Sony would welcome Marvel flipping the bill for creating the multiverse.
I mean, it could open the doorway for Venom and Morbius to show up in
Venom.
Spider-Man.
That song.
I
love you, Eminem, but I hate that song.
anyway, like Vulture's in Morbius. I think like Mobius from the show was like Morbius is a different character. The vampire. Michael Keaton's gonna be in that movie as Vulture, so as a cameo. So
and
I guess
Mobius.
Morbius. Yeah, Morbius.
Oh, well,
You
that's a
didn't see
shame. I'll never see it.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Jared.
He already ruined one comic book character.
Right. How do you mess up the Joker? Everyone who's played the Joker has just been literally iconic.
Yeah. Well, they found a way. And it was just too soon to do another Joker anyway. What?
Was it?
What did I say?
He said, well, they found a way.
Oh, yeah. It's like Dr. Malcolm. It's like Jekyll. They found a way. Shittiness will find a way. So, yeah. All right. That's really all I had for Loki. Do you have any final thoughts, predictions for next season? I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
he's
I
in a
want to
different
talk about
timeline.
the statues. Because we didn't really go over the episode. I guess we're just nitpicking here. Or not nitpicking, but like picking at the carcass of it. There were when Loki and Sylvie, after they turned down this minutes and they were walking towards the elevator before they meet Jonathan Majors, we see 3 statues, but there's actually a 4th one, and the 4th one is like
that
destroyed.
statue you're talking about. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like this has happened multiple times. Like it was all a test, kind of like a Willy Wonka style test of who's going to take over the factory.
I like that theory.
Yeah.
I treated it more as the scene in The Matrix where he meets the architect, and he's been here thousands of times before. So I thought it was kind of similar to that.
Oh, yeah.
Right. There was some big Architect Matrix vibes.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's a good point.
Guys, I cannot convince my wife to watch the first Matrix with me. Do you guys have any ideas?
That's the best one.
She's-
You should watch
Yeah, I know. Well, because she's
Why?
lame. I mean, I love her to death, but like,
Does she have a reason why not to watch The Matrix?
yeah. She's
Has she
she's
watched
a
it
woman.
before?
No, she's never seen it before. She's
What?
a woman. Like,
It's
Can
been
you-
out forever.
yeah, I know, but she's never seen it because she doesn't care because she's
We'll
a
watch
girl.
it with riff tracks. Just tell her it'll be funny.
I feel like that's your solution for everything, but I don't even think Riff Tracks is that funny.
Boo!
Like, call me,
What?
call me sacrilegious. I mean, I haven't seen it in 15
Some
years.
aren't as funny as others.
The last, and anything negative I say about MST3000 or Riff Tracks. Wait,
MST3K.
am I confusing those two? Am I missing those two
No,
up?
well,
or,
it's like Mike,
Well, it's
Bill,
like the
and
same
Kevin.
guys. Of
Yeah, they
one
did
of them.
riff tracks, but I think like Joel has the rights to MST3000, the original host, and he's doing something on Netflix with it. But Mike,
the
Kevin,
last
and Bill are just doing their own
MST3000
thing.
I watched was at Robbie's house, and it was on VHS. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't old enough to get the jokes. I definitely wasn't high enough.
Well, you
I'm
just gotta
sure they're great.
well, you buy the commentary, you play the movie at the same time, so it's like sort of like but you can get like an app for it. But I think the Matrix one's
Harry
actually pretty
Potter
funny.
Harry Potter ones are great.
Oh yeah, they're so funny.
Birdemic is the best one.
Oh yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
just first of all, that movie's
that's
so
what we're
terrible
gonna
on
watch
its own.
next.
That's just hilarious to watch by itself, even without the commentary. So.
Ooh, have they done The Room?
Oh
I'd
yeah,
probably-
they did the room.
I'd probably drop off. I'd probably drop $5 to watch it and watch The Room riff tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
riff tracks I think are just their audio is like $2 or $3.
Yeah, I think I bought like Iron Man a few weeks ago, so pretty cheap. And like the app is like it'll sync up with the movie as you're watching it. Like it just needs to listen to what's playing and it'll sync up automatically, I think. But
So now the hard part's just for like trying to get The Room now, or
You probably-
Birdemic.
yeah.
I
But
rented Escape Room. That's what I was watching before the podcast.
I saw The King of Comedy, I think yesterday, and it
Oh,
really
the
made me
Joker?
realize. Yeah, it's basically the Joker movie is completely based off that movie.
Yeah,
Like the
I'm not a
plot
big
is
fan of it.
the plot is almost the exact same. Like
They're like,
the
hey,
obsession
if
with
we
tacos.
rip off
the
this
fantasy-
movie, if we rip off this movie, but we put the main character Leonardo or Robert De Niro in both of them, then it'll be an homage. It won't be a ripoff.
Well, it's like no one's seen. And as people have seen King of Comedies, they have like Taxi Driver. So like I think more people compare it to Taxi Driver than King of Comedy, even though it far more resembles the latter movie.
Yeah, you know what I want my Joker movies to resemble? Nothing before.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
Now I would
pretty
watch
short,
the
too.
Joker over Black Widow again.
Oh, nice segue.
Thank you.
Well, or I guess to top off Loki, I like the Planet of the Apes sort of homage, like the statue. Well, it's not really Planet of the Apes because it was just like he's obviously in a different timeline, and with where I guess
You maniacs! That kind of thing.
you blew up the timeline. Damn you all.
Yeah,
to
so
hell.
I guess now there are. Oh, I had a theory.
Oh wait, no,
right?
damn
Because-
you all to hell with one L because he's Norse. So, anyway.
I had this theory in the shower. Go ahead. I'm trying to remember it. Damn it. So there's a multiverse now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like, how are there different variants if there was just one timeline? And I was thinking more about this. And I kind of had like a aha
Yeah.
epiphany or whatever you want to call it, like conspiracy theory. But I think maybe you can have multiple timelines. The Nexus event is what causes Kang and to be born and eventually like create like this multiversal war after he discovers time traveling in 3100. So like that would kind of make sense, or unless you guys have like an explanation for like how there can be variants in only one timeline.
It's almost like he's trying to keep all the timelines the same.
Well, I think he's just trying to. Yeah, I mean, 'cause that's what I was saying. I was like, if you're just trying to
But then
avoid,
if it starts branching, those
yeah, 'cause that's what made me
versions
think
start
about it.
becoming
Was that,
different.
yeah, exactly. If you're just trying to like avoid a multiversal war, then all you have to do is just kill his ancestor, right? And then Nathaniel Richards will never be born.
Yeah, or maybe he's keeping those other versions of himself from even finding out or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of ways you can think of it.
Time travel and multiverse. Trying to present that to a general audience is very, very tricky, and
I wouldn't say we're a general audience, though.
I find it very interesting.
Well, the thing though is in the comics, a new king is created every time he travels in the time travels. Period. If he goes in the past or goes forward, a new king is created. So I don't know if they kind of covered that up with the idea of Nexus events, but yeah.
Yeah, I know they have a lot to answer for in the second season, but they'll probably answer a lot in the later movies. Like, I guess Multiverse of Madness. I think Loki's supposed to appear in that, so it's like that movie's already becoming overstuffed already.
I hope we don't have another Spider-Man 3 incident.
Yeah.
Well, Forrest,
Okay.
it does have the word of madness in its title. You know, the phrase of madness. So it's going to be very chaotic.
Crazy.
If we were having this conversation 2 days ago before I watched Black Widow last night, I would say no worries, stuff it all in. Marvel's learned from like Fox and other superhero like movies mistakes. But
Seems
I
like
just
you really
watched
want to
Black
talk
Widow.
about this. Seems like you really want to talk about this movie, Mage.
Yeah, dude, I'm just trying to get it over with so I can get it out of my head. But they pulled a Deadpool. They pulled an X-Men Deadpool, not the fun Deadpool that we were talking about last week with Robbie, but they Deadpool and
The one
when he
he
showed up in the
had to
X-Men.
fix.
Yeah, they tied his mouth shut. He didn't say anything, just like Taskmaster. Master. No dialogue. I was really disappointed with the bad guy, quote unquote bad guy.
Yeah. I really. I mean, I think I saw the twist coming because I saw like Olga, whatever her name's name in the credits, and I had a feeling she was either gonna be Taskmaster or her mother. But I think towards the end, it was like pretty apparent she was gonna be the daughter. I think it would have been really cool. Everyone saw Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
Y'all remember Cabal? Like we didn't see his face, but we heard his voice. I thought that would have been perfect for Taskmaster. Just like have that guy voice because he has like a really sort of like sinister sounding voice, but you never see his face. It's like that's how they should have done Taskmaster. Just never show his face, but like just have someone voice him. Sort of like.
Would they have like a goofy ass face or something?
You should get a James Earl Jones to do all the voiceover, and then keep the female actress and keep Taskmaster a girl. I don't care about that.
Whenever she opens her
that
mouth.
would be a twist. No, just because with like a voice modulator.
Well, it's funny because the Russian Olympic team, they gave him like testosterone, so like all the the Russian Olympic team became men, in the 80s because they were giving them
That's
steroids.
not how science works. That's not how it works at all.
Yeah, but they like literally they grew beards and stuff, so like it would have been funny. I mean, not funny. It would have been tragic if she had like male vocal cords because like her father just kept giving her testosterone induced steroids.
Well, I mean, they had a hysterectomy, which they awkwardly brought up in the movie.
Yeah, they kind of glossed
Harvard.
over like female genital mutilation.
As they should. They got out of the movie. What is that doing in the movie? Like you mentioned it,
especially
once
with my kids watching.
Yeah, you mentioned it once in like Civil War or something.
Oh, like
and
Age
then
of Ultron.
Yeah, and then never bring it up again. That's all. You never had to talk about it. No one was going to walk out of the movie theater or their living room and be like, you know what? My biggest complaint about this movie is that they didn't address more about her hysterectomy.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. All right.
Thank you, Doug.
So Black Widow is not a super being. She's just a super soldier who's been trained to kick ass. Correct?
Is she a super soldier? She's a spy.
She's a spy, but she's not a super soldier. She has no serum. She has no super
no
strength.
powers.
She's just a regular human being that can karate chop and scissor kick into a scissor kick.
Which some would say is a superpower. But no,
so
not an actual one.
How many times? Like, there's one scene in particular where she's falling off a building and hits like her back and her knees on like ductwork and falls 60 feet and then gets right back up like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have to survive to the next movie because it's an in-between goal or whatever.
No, I have an answer. I looked on Wikipedia earlier about this. So back in the 40s when Black Widow was created or whatever, she was physiologically and psychologically enhanced, like bioengineering of some sort. Similar to that of a super soldier, but done by the Russians. So the Russians obviously have their own, strange view of the world. I'm sure they, prodded instruments and poke needles and coaxed the most refined abilities from the human body possible.
Still, though,
I see what you're saying. This isn't the comic books. Like in the movie, she wasn't enhanced.
Like just the parachuting at the end, you're gonna blow out both your knees on that landing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Taskmaster did, and she's wearing super armor.
Yeah.
She gets back up.
They really should have
Black
had like
Widow's
a
wearing
Bruce.
plot armor.
Yeah. They really
Plot
showed,
armor is stronger than super armor.
they really should have done like a scene like from Dark Knight where it shows like the physical toll of being Black Widow. Just had like bruises all over her body and just cuts, and like maybe like show her like refastening or popping her shoulder arm back into its shoulder socket, stuff like that. So
What about a nose? Would that work for you?
Oh, okay, yeah, she broke her nose, which apparently you can sever a olfactory nerve by breaking your nose, even though you can taste with your tongue.
So, how come she was able to explode the explosion to try to kill him, but you can't like kill him if you smell him? Like, how far does that thing work? That was a whole plot hole that I didn't truly understand.
I don't know. It was really dumb.
It made me think of Batman versus Superman when they're fighting Doomsday, and then Wonder Woman shows up, and they're like, "I thought she was with you." Right? Like, that's such a dumb line. Like, Batman, you emailed her. Like, she's clearly with you. But it's such a good line. Like, I don't even care. I would say, just because the lackluster performance or the overall just. I didn't like this movie that much.
There's so much wrong with this movie.
I would rather watch Thor: The Dark Thor than watch Black Widow again. To the point where I was so ready to get over with it. Like, we had discussed that there was a mid and a post-credit scene. I had completely forgotten. I was just ready. Like, as soon as the credits popped up, I was out. And then I was like, oh, wait, there's a mid and post-credit scene. And then I was like, oh. Nope, don't care enough to go back.
Speaking of disappointing,
I watched Captain
Widow. Yeah. So, talking about disappointing mid-credit scenes. How about the one after Loki? It was just like Loki will return in season 2.
In season 2, yeah.
That was so
I expected that. That's super Marvel. They're always like, Thanos will return in Endgame, which I really liked because Infinity War was the story about Thanos. He was the main character.
It was so much better than Endgame.
But the mid-credit scene, though, leads to one of my biggest problems with Black Widow. Mm-hmm. And it's that it seems, because we already know what happens to Black Widow, so there's no doubt there that she's going to survive this movie or anything, so I don't care about her. This whole movie seems like it was a setup for her sister's character to be either in Thunderbolts or another one of their franchises, Yelena. Like, this whole movie was setting up Yelena. It focused way too much on her,
Well, she's going to show up in Hawkeye, I think, next, because I guess she's going to try to kill Clint.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my point. Like, this whole movie was more about her. Sorry.
Basically, like Sylvie and Loki.
Well, no, as consumers, like, we love the tie-ins, and like, if this movie didn't set up the next domino, we would hate it even more. So, like, is this to a degree our fault?
I mean,
that Marvel
I prefer
is just
these to be much more standalone.
Really?
I would prefer if these were just like much more standalone. I mean, honestly, the only tie-in you need for the next movie is like the character's still alive at the end. That's the only tie-in you need for a sequel. We don't need to set up a new movie every movie. Just like make a good story about Black Widow. And it was
I'm not saying we need it, but I'm saying like that's what we've come to expect. And like, as a general population of people who go to see Marvel movies, of fanboys, like
it's one of the most
but I would like to be surprised
to make money.
Yeah, I'm just like, just make a good Black Widow movie. Just make a standalone, which was supposed to be. I mean, we know she's gonna live at the end, so there's like,
I think this movie just came out at the wrong time, and I think that's like the biggest, its biggest fault, right? Like, I am hooked on the multiverse. I gotta get that sweet multiverse pumping through my veins, and then to go back to like this street level movie where there's not magic, there's not superheroes, really, there's no powers.
It's just your
there's
regular
bad Russian accents. Yeah, like I thought David Harbour, not David Harbour being like super powered, but I thought his performance was just overall pretty good until that hysterectomy joke. But then still a good movie, or still a good portrayal.
Yeah, I think the men in this movie were not very either competent or layered. Because we had like Harvey Weinstein. We had Harvey,
and they
Weinstein.
shouldn't be. This should be a female empowerment.
Well, you can have both.
Whatever.
You can have an empowered female character, and you can have like layered male characters. You can have both. Don't like make one an idiot. Don't make one like a Harvey Weinstein allegory, and don't make one like a simp. Because I think like Yeah, it's like what's the OT guy, Mason. Yeah, the nicest arms dealer in the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like basically, like I think he was only in the movie to make us think he was Taskmaster. I think that was the only reason, because his character served virtually no purpose beyond like, "Hey, I got you this," and they could have easily.
I got you the helicopter.
Like
hey,
she could have easily like they could have written a line like, "I got this helicopter stored at this place from a dealer." Like they didn't need his character at all. I think he was literally in the movie just to throw us off to who Taskmaster was.
Yeah, just show her closing the cell phone and being like, "That was Steve. He's got a helicopter for me." And then we'd be like, "Oh, Captain America tie-in." Yeah. Speaking of, David Harbour's character, Red Communist, whatever. He said he fought Captain America in the 80s. Wasn't Captain America on ice?
Well, that might have been the evil one, William Burnside. Because I think, I don't know.
You're not talking about...
Obviously, he was right, because the guy says, like, you're lying. He was still on ice, and he just broke his arm, and he broke, like, for catching him in a lie. But yeah, Steve Rogers was definitely... He never fought Steve Rogers. I don't know why he thought Captain America would know who he is, or much less, care. Unless there was, like, another Captain America, like, we didn't know about. There's, like, the evil one called, like, William Burnside in the comics. So, I mean, unless, that's who he was talking about. He was just
he was talking about the Captain America who went back in time from the end of Endgame.
What year did he go? Did he ever go to the 80s? Because like when would Red Guardian have been?
Well, he went back to like the 50s to live his life with Peggy Carter. So he, in theory, would still be around in the 80s. Yeah, he would 100% be around in the 80s because we saw him back in 2023 present day at the bench.
Well, let me think. So he would have like been in his 20s during 95, right? So he would have been active in the 90s, I think, not the 80s. So when did Captain America go back to the 90s?
No, he didn't go back to the 90s. He went back to be with Peggy Carter.
But he would have been too old by that time then.
Yeah, he would have been like 60. Exactly. That's, I guess, kind of the point. It was a throwaway line. It makes you wonder if the writers actually thought about it before they put it in.
I don't think they did much thinking in this movie.
Even if the writers didn't think about it, Kevin Feige's still at the helm of all this. He would have been like the first person to point it out.
I think he is so afraid of getting canceled at this point. He doesn't want to become like another,
You think he's afraid of being canceled? How?
Well, just because, like, he's a white man, and like literally he said, like, when people were asking why Doctor Strange didn't show up and he didn't want him, he's like, we didn't want this white man to show up and like show her this is what true power is. I'm just like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, I think he's just like basically like,
I thought the issue was the pandemic, and like he was supposed to come in, but they had to cut it for production in time or whatever.
No, they just didn't want it. I guess the explanation should have just been like, we wanted to do Wanda's story. We didn't want to like, tease Doctor Strange, even though he was filming Multiverse of Madness at the time. WandaVision was being filmed, so they could have easily had him come over and shoot like a 2-second scene, like "Come with me if you want to live" or something like that. But I think it was just like he gave like a really like overtly political feminist answer that wasn't really necessary. I just think he's like at a point now where it's just
maybe
like
that's just like his political
he can't
views.
Really fight it because he doesn't want to be like accused of
Disney owns it.
Yeah,
exactly. So can we explain the whole
Disney
Russian spies in the 90s?
Their reputation.
Yeah, what? I thought the Cold War was over.
From the 1950s.
What are they doing there?
It's 1995. They've been spying. Well, I guess the idea is that they're Russian spies. They're not actually spying for Russia. They're spying for creepy Harvey Weinstein guy.
Dreykov, yeah. I think he's just like I don't know if he's like owns a company or whatever. I mean, it showed him like in the opening credits, like he's like talking with presidents and stuff. So I don't know if he's like a politician or just like maybe just like a really rich dude who just. I mean, my understanding is like he ran the Widow program in the Cold War, and then like when the Soviet Union collapsed, he still held on to all that power and all that infrastructure and resources after the Cold War and just kept it running covertly. So I don't know if he's like
trite though. It was just.
So I don't know. I didn't really explain like what the Red Room was. Is it like affiliated with the Russian government? Is it just a private organization, or is it like I don't know. I guess it's sort of like just Hydra. It's like it's just another evil organization in the MCU.
I was a little surprised they kept Cuba in there with what's going on in the last week or two. Not to get into it or be political or whatever, but just talk about like poor timing. Like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier had a global pandemic, and then a global pandemic happens, and then they're about to release Black Widow, and there's a scene about them like running to Cuba, and then now there's all this bullshit going on in Cuba.
Wait, what's happening in Cuba?
I'm not
People
talking
are
about
taking
it. You can look it up.
Yep.
Jeez, well, what about? Give me a quick summary then.
Oh no, I'm not talking about it because not that I'm afraid to share my opinion, but I'm not educated enough to be able to talk about it. That's all.
I mean, like from what I understand, Cuba's always been like a hotbed of controversy. So I don't understand why it'd be any different. I mean, I can look it up, but
yeah, maybe if you of course you don't understand like what's happening. You just heard about the event 2 seconds ago from a very, very terrible source.
Well,
I would check it out and take a look.
Okay.
I mean, Cuba's been a source of controversy, but let's not forget like half of that, most of it's probably America's fault.
Well, yeah,
The Bay of Pigs.
Bay of Pigs, and
trying to assassinate them 100,000 times.
Yeah.
Cuban protests.
And they would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for
This pesky
meddling
Che.
meddling
I
CIA.
think it's
operation.
JFK. JFK
So-
kept us from going to war.
Major, I know the favorite part of Black Widow for you and me both was that awesome montage
I listened to a little bit about it
Nirvana.
on NPR.
to Nirvana at the beginning there. That was
It's
definitely my favorite thing, and I love that this
Interesting
trend is
time.
still around here.
Cuba.
Oh no, I can't wait until like I crunched some numbers afterwards, and at the trajectory we're on right now, by 2030, 90% of a movie is going to be just a montage of slow things happening with even slower renditions of songs.
That's strange though. Like MCU movies aren't really known for like having opening credit sequences. They usually just start.
Oh,
movies.
MCU?
They typically don't have like opening credits. I mean, I think like the first Iron Man like had like a few seconds of them, but like the movies usually just start. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it was like a creative choice by the director. But I was just like, did you know the young Black Widow, the young Natasha, was the daughter of Mia Jovovich? The
I don't
Resident
know who
Evil,
Mia Jovovich is.
Mia
She's,
Jovovich, Fifth
yeah.
Element.
the Resident, yeah,
Mm.
Fifth Element Resident
Oh.
Evil. Yeah, that's her daughter. That's why her Russian was so good. She's also the daughter of Paul W.S. Anderson, the really shitty director of Resident Evil, and he directed the first Mortal Kombat movie, though, which is like probably the best live-action video game movie. Sadly, so.
You know what? Too really quick at the beginning of the movie, I didn't understand that Natasha was supposed to be the older daughter. I thought Natasha was the younger one, and it wasn't until much later in the movie that I realized that. I was like, wait a second,
Well,
she was the older one? Like,
That's
when
why they
was
shouldn't have
that?
dyed her hair blue. It's like they should have dyed it red so the audience would have freaking known.
Well, there was like a little bit of red. It was like blue, red, and then like her natural hair color or whatever. But using movie
focused on the
logic,
younger one.
I thought, yeah, because the whole movie's focused on setting her up.
Yeah.
I thought Natasha was the older one because she was taller. That's just movie logic, right? Like, oh, you're taller as a kid, like you must be older.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like a real playwright thing or Hollywood thing, but that's my dumbass making an assumption right off the bat.
Yeah.
Heightism.
Okay, what did you think of Rachel Weisz? I don't think she did much in this movie at all. I think she was just like picking up a paycheck. What do y'all think? The older Black Widow who portrayed them. I don't think she did a lot. And it's funny because
her
she's
mom?
like, yeah, it was with the mom. She's like her character in the comics is called like Iron Maiden, and that's who should have been the villain in this, not Taskmaster, because the character has more history with Black Widow, and B, them Taskmaster, and B, I think it would have been good to have a female antagonist because like all I've really had in the MCU was just like Hela, and I think there's some really good female antagonists that Marvel has.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel has never, I mean, not never, but like Marvel supervillains or the quote unquote bad guys have always been like a problem for Marvel, minus Thanos. And
like in the movies or just
Killmonger. No, in the movies. I'm not talking about the comic books. I'll specify if I am. But just like, just overall weak supervillains.
They're a lot stronger than Netflix universe. And I think Charlie Cox is coming back and she
Well,
No Way Home.
I have to disagree on, I mean, I guess yeah, as a whole, because you've got Iron Fist weighing down the class average.
yeah.
But I really enjoyed the first season of bitchy girl, super powerful, likes to drink a lot.
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones,
very
yeah.
good.
Character.
Like with the Purple Man, like I really enjoyed him as a supervillain, and I enjoyed like that. I enjoyed all her seasons actually.
Yeah, I did. It's bittersweet because I really liked David Tennant, but I was just sort of mad because that means they can't use him in Daredevil because they use him in Jessica Jones.
What?
I would have loved to see him.
Did you not know about the Defenders or the crossover? That was.
Well, they can't use David.
Like,
they use Jessica Jones and Defenders. They didn't use Purple Man in Daredevil, and he's like more of a Daredevil enemy.
Right, but like the crossover could have existed.
Yeah, it could have. But Typhoid Mary I think was also wasted in Iron Fist.
Yes.
Like another character who has absolutely no history with Iron Fist, and he was like basically
Kingpin and Daredevil was wasted.
It was in Daredevil. Was she in Daredevil?
No, she was in Iron Fist. I think she was supposed to be in season 4, maybe. But I think I don't know. I think they just wasted her in a much, much worse show. So it's like it pissed me off. Like two of his best enemies, and like the thing with season 3 of Daredevil is like, well, they have Bullseye, they've done the Hand, they've done Kingpin. Like who else is going to use now?
Yeah,
they use Purple Man, Typhoid
Kingpin
Mary.
was so good. Like you don't need anyone else. Just focus it between Daredevil and Kingpin. Like
it gets old after a while.
The guy from does it though. Like the guy who did Kingpin was so good from Law and Order or whatever.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
no, Vince
Vaughn.
Vincent D'Onofrio. Vince Vaughn.
Sorry, D'Onofrio. Yep.
I thought you were making a joke because they look so familiar or similar, kind of.
They don't look. I don't think they look similar. I mean, they're probably both like tall.
I mean,
besides that, and white. But besides that, I mean, I was really disappointed that they didn't show Bullseye in his costume at the end. That was really disappointing. Like they.
Oh, you were gonna hate Smallville when you finished that.
Oh yeah, I knew that he didn't go in his costume, but he's in his costume in Superman and Lois. That show seems to get.
I've actually heard great things about that show.
It's like probably the best Superman media since like the '78 film, from what I hear.
You weren't a big fan of Lois and Clark with the guy from Ripley's Believe It or Not?
I really wanted to watch this as a kid, but I think like I always had like church in the morning, so I couldn't watch it like when it was on. And this is like before like Netflix, but I really would like to watch it. I just never watched it enough, and now as an adult, it looks really cheesy. And Lex Luthor also has hair in that, so it's just like I just don't get it. But beyond that, yeah, that's really all I had for today. I think we're like a little over, but we started late, so. Yeah, any last thoughts on Black Widow? Are y'all looking for? I think we got.
Yeah, Rob, did you like it?
Oh yeah, Rob. Oh, Tip hasn't seen it yet.
I haven't either.
Yeah, is it worth $30?
Okay. I was like, wait a second. Why is Rob being so quiet? Yeah, no, Rob, not worth it.
I just haven't watched it. That's why.
Tip.
Yeah,
I saw you and Matt going back and forth. But.
Yeah. Well, Tip, you have like 2 daughters. I think they'll like it because there's like a strong female protagonist. And
my daughter loved it.
Yes.
So.
And like
are there any rainbows and unicorns?
And, when me and Rob saw Captain Marvel, like we saw like there were young girls there, like they're more so than like probably like a Iron Man movie. So like I think like it speaks more to them than it does to us, even though they're writing.
I think it's important to see yourself in the movie, and it's hard when no one in the movie looks like you.
Yeah, although I do think I could have enjoyed this movie if it was better written. The fact that I can identify with like the main character.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with it.
It's like I still like Blade a lot, even though I can't I personally identify with.
You're not a vampire?
Or a Daywalker, yeah.
Half vampire.
Yeah, so like Blade's still like a great movie, even though like I personally can't identify with the main character. So it's like it's just possible.
Yeah,
it's like if it's well written and like well paced, it's regardless of the ethnicity and the gender.
It just wasn't very well written.
So, but yeah, so we got like 3 more Marvel movies coming out this year. We got Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man. And then we got 2 more Disney Plus series, I think Hawkeye and Miss Marvel. I think Miss Marvel's coming out first.
I am super excited about Shanghai.
Shanghai?
What is Shang-Chi?
Or Shang-Chi.
That's it. Yeah, I was like, that's probably the movie I was least looking forward to until the trailer dropped. And then I was like, yes, this is number 1 on the list now. Like, this looks so cool.
It's like Abomination's going to be in it.
Right? I think he's going to be in 2 movies, right?
Well, he's going to be in Shang-Chi's going to be in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I guess I don't know if Tim Roth will just voice him and he'll just be in an Abomination form the whole time, or if Tim Roth will come back. I think like in the comics he's like stuck in his Abomination form. So we'll see. And do any of y'all watch The Good Place?
Oh, I love The
I
Good
saw the
Place.
first
That was great.
season.
You know the Indian chick? on
Yeah.
it? She's going to be the bad guy in She-Hulk.
Oh, she's
I think
good.
I think she's playing like Titania, or she could be playing like the female Abominatrix.
Is that like Renfeld becoming Terminatrix or whatever?
Yeah. Oh well, no.
From
It's like
Loki?
it's like basically like She-Hulk. The way she becomes She-Hulk is because she gets a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner. I'm guessing if they do Abominatrix, she'll get a blood transfusion from Abomination, something like that. But
That makes sense. I think I said to Matt last night I would rather watch a movie about Bruce Banner becoming Professor Hulk than Black Widow.
that's what I mean. I think the rights issues was like another problem. They couldn't do a solo movie with Ruffalo.
Yeah,
So it's a shame. But yeah, that's all I
no,
have.
I don't think so. Do you want a whole Hulk movie, or do you want a Hulk timeline or a Hulk arc spread out over 3 or 4 movies?
I would like a solo Hulk movie because I'm a big fan of the Peter David run, where he's like working for as Professor Hulk. He's working for the Pantheon, which is like this secret spy society.
There's a huge backlog of storylines they could do with like a solo Hulk movie, but I would argue that if Edward Norton couldn't save it or do it, then what chances any other mediocre actor have?
Well, I think it's just like they've been doing great stories in the comics for years. They can do just translate those to movies pretty easily.
They already wasted Planet Hulk.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say wasted. I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, but they've already used that story. So
yeah, I prefer like Hulk to be on Earth. And like fighting the military and the leader, sort of like just like a I don't know if you've read the Immortal Hulk series. It's really good. It's like
I did not.
It's basically like more of a horror comic than an actual superhero comic because there's like a lot of like Cronenberg body horror, which is sort of like works for the Hulk perfectly. So, but it's pretty good. Check it out. I think like he's about to wrap up the whole series, like 50 issues and all. But it's really good. That's all I got. And you want to plug the email, Twitter, Gmail?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. You can email us at zealotzeitgeistpodcast@gmail.com and hit us up on Twitter at @zealotpodcast. We'd like to hear what you thought about Black Widow and what your thoughts are for Loki season 2.
Yep. All right. I'm Forrest.
I'm Major.
I'm Robbie.
Matt.
I'm Tip.
All right.
Thanks
take
for
care,
listening,
everybody.
guys.